Welcome back to the Gridiron Grind with Andrew and Lance. Do a little preview of the divisional round. Four really good games going on. Um, we probably had about two of our predictions go right for the divisional round. We kind of struggled a little bit, but hey, that's the playoffs. I think in our group right now we're kind of tied for last, but hey,
Last
it's
baby.
early. It's
Last
early.
baby.
We still have a shot. And I was looking at the
Uh,
odds, and I
you have
mean,
a
even though
shot.
the kind of, but if the Rams win, there's three other guys that pick the Rams, so I have to have certain things fall in place. Um, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. This is a lot of fun. Um, but first, I have some bad news I need to say. It just wasn't working out. I had to cut Cinderella from my softball team. She just kept running away from the ball. Some breaking news for everybody. Cinderella got cut.
Wow. I gotta stop acting surprised. I mean, I am because, like, what am I doing here? I should know these are coming, Andrew. But some next level stuff going on right here. Next
Yeah,
level.
yeah. I don't think anyone expected that Cinderella wasn't going to make the squad, but we got to take care of the team.
Well, thanks for that critical update, buddy. I really appreciate it.
Yes. If I had a breaking news sounder, I would have brought it up and like flash breaking news, but I didn't have that ready, so maybe next time.
I like it. Sounds sounds good.
That's about the reaction that deserved. Okay, so without further ado, should we get into the Saturday divisional playoffs?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't know if I'm feeling excited anymore, man. I'm so frustrated about my team dropping the ball that I'm like,
Hmm.
so this is a little context, Andrew. My birthday's in January. It's on January 20th. And every year for the past 3 years, right? Maybe 2023 we didn't, but at least two out of the three
Two of the
last
three.
years,
Hmm.
my team has been playing past my birthday. It's like the best birthday present I could ask for. And this year they did not come through, man. I'm feeling bitter about it. I'm gonna be honest, Andrew. I'm feeling bitter.
Maybe you should call Sirianni and say, "What are we doing? You're supposed to be at least playing on my birthday."
I mean, I wish that would go somewhere, but we should get to this game, Andrew. Start covering our feelings
Okay,
on it.
okay, I like it. So the first matchup on Saturday is Bills at Broncos, and this is just excuse me, kind of fascinating to me. So this is probably the best overall player remaining in the playoffs, Josh Allen, going against possibly the best defense in remaining in the playoffs. So you can argue the Seahawks or Texans could be that number one defense, but Broncos are in that conversation. So Josh Allen's going to have to put on his superhero cape again. Like that Superman cape's going to have to be flowing and just blowing all day long. And I don't know if he's going to have enough to win this game. Could you argue that the Jaguars are overall better team than the Broncos? I could hear that argument because the Jaguars offense definitely is better than the Broncos offense. But going on the road 2 weeks in a row, going on the road against a good team, probably a little bit better than you 2 weeks in a row, I don't know that you're going to be able to do it again, especially at Denver. I know at Jacksonville's tough, but at Denver, I think is a different animal with that altitude and the weather, because I know Jacksonville is raining, but it's going to be cold in Denver. I don't know if it's going to be snowing. I don't think it is, but it's going to be cold. And I know Josh Allen's been there, done that, and the Broncos offense isn't great, but just looking at each breakdown, Josh Allen against the Broncos defense, I think the Broncos are going to be able to hold him to maybe low 20s, maybe like 21 to 24 in that range, those kind of points scored. And then I think the Broncos offense going against the average Bills defense, I think they can outscore that, maybe just barely. I can see this being like a 27-21 or a 27-24 type game. I do have the Broncos winning. I would not be shocked if the Bills pulled it off because Josh Allen is the best player on the field. And this is maybe, it's not his best team, but it might be the easiest path to get to the Super Bowl this year because there's no elite team and there's no like Mahomes in your way. There's no Burrow in your way. But I just don't know if he can go on the road 2 weeks in a row against better team than his and pull it out again. So I'm going Broncos. I'm going home team. And just because I'm from Colorado doesn't mean I'm biased here. I'm not really a Broncos fan. I see the Broncos through clear lenses, not through my Vikings lenses. So I'm going to go Broncos, mainly because of that home field advantage, I think.
It's funny how you're advocating for clear lenses on other teams, Andrew,
Other teams, absolutely. The Vikings,
but just not your
you
own
know,
team.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's it's not fully clear. There's a little bit of purple Kool-Aid stained on those glasses, just a little bit.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's exactly the way I would phrase it. Um, yeah, this is going to be. I don't know what wins out, Andrew, because all I keep thinking about in my head is I've talked about it before, but you go back to the 2025 playoffs and the Buffalo Bills and Broncos face in the first round. Like that has to drive Sean Payton nuts that they score one touchdown and then lose 31-7. Um, so that to me is a semi-factor in this game. The fact that it's the last time they played, there has to be a bitter taste in their mouth. It has to be on their mind to some level because the teams are mostly the same. There's a little bit of difference, um, but a lot of the same actors, players are involved in this matchup that is the same as last time. Um, a couple of things I'm looking at that I'm concerned about. Um, One is the point disparity in points per game between the Broncos and the Bills is almost 5 points per game. And it's not like the Bills haven't gone up against nothing burgers. It's not like they face
Hmm.
defenses that are no names. I mean, they've faced good competition. So that's going to be interesting to see what wins out. I mean, for sure, the Bills have like no receivers besides Brandon Cooks, who's having a resurgence and is
Hmm.
doing what DeAndre Hopkins prayed he did or prayed he wanted to do. Um,
Right.
and so it's been interesting to see what Cooks has been able to do. We'll see if it could continue. Um, but I look at that matchup, and one thing I will say is James Cook, we talked about it on the ground, Broncos susceptible to the run
They
game.
are.
And if
Hmm.
this is a cold weather game, we could see a situation where the Bills are able to churn and move on the ground. Um, I think the part of the matchup that I'm most worried about for the Broncos is Bo Nix versus Josh Allen. I don't love that. And so,
Yeah.
like, let's put it this way. This is what I'm thinking of, right? Let's say that because the Broncos don't have a great offense and because Josh Allen is such a potent quarterback, that we get to the end of the game sequence and it's a 16-13 ball game. Bills have the ball. It's like 5 minutes left, and Josh Allen and James Cook together just pick at the Broncos defense. They're just getting enough to get first downs, and they score a touchdown. What is Bo Nix going to do? Can they
Hmm.
really rally and beat this team? This isn't the New York Giants we're talking about here. This ain't the second half Philadelphia Eagles we're talking about here. This is a team that's played good the entire year. The only reason the Bills lost to the Eagles was because of Josh Allen. That's the only reason
Yep.
why. They should have won that game. And man, what a different narrative that would have been for the Eagles going into the playoffs. Like, you know, Eagles offense can't even travel and don't know how to finish a game that they were up by, what was it, 7 points. Um, so it's going to be interesting. And actually, I think they're up by 13 at one or 14 at one point. But So I look at that, thinking about it. Um, Yards per game, I'm not super worried about when it comes to something like this. But for the Broncos' benefit, man, the Broncos sack game, they have 68
Hmm.
sacks this year. 68 sacks. The season record, if I remember right, is 73. So they were five short of setting the standard. Um,
Yep.
and I know people will say, listen, that was in 16 or what, maybe 15 game season. This is a 17 game season. Listen, I don't care. I don't care. Beating a stat is beating a stat. Breaking a record
Hmm.
is breaking a record. Um, but like the Bills pass rush is 20th. 20th. 36 sacks. That's just not enough. When it comes to interceptions, surprisingly, the Bills are slightly better. Um, but yeah, man, we'll see what happens. One part that's interesting too, turnovers. +3 margin for the Broncos, or -3 margin for the Broncos, +1 for the Bills. That could be a factor in this game, especially as we're dealing with cold weather. Does anyone on the Broncos team put the ball on the ground? Does Nix throw a bad interception?
Hmm.
Um, it's going to be interesting. This is Nix's first major playoff game. When they were playing the
It's
Bills
yeah,
last year,
it's only a second playoff game overall, and
right?
the
Well,
team he's played is the Bills twice.
right. Well, I guess my point is that he was playing with house money the last time around. He ain't playing with
True.
house
That's
money.
fair. Yeah.
No one was like, oh, hey, if he doesn't do good, like this is the end of the road for Knicks, or he's not getting his
Hmm.
contract extension. Like we can get to another example of that later on the contract extension part. But it's weird, man. I was going into this game and I was going to pick the Broncos, but I just kept thinking of end of game sequences. And like I'm going to draw to a comparison. And this is a really accurate comparison for the Eagles. Um, The Eagles played the Jaguars last year, and a lot of people only think about one moment, the Saquon backwards leap. And that was an amazing moment. But there's an even more important moment in that game. There was a wheel route run on Nakobe Dean, and Nakobe Dean got in front of the pass and intercepted it, and it ended the game. It was like 28-3 or to 23. It was really close. But after the game, Nakobe Dean mentioned that in the preseason that Kenneth Gainwell would pick on him on wheel routes. So he
Hmm.
dedicated himself to make sure that when it came to the real moment, that he was not going to be the one to let his team down. And what happened? He worked on his craft and put himself in position to make it was an incredible catch to get the interception and end the drive for the Jaguars. Why do I bring that up? The 2-point conversion fell for Josh Allen. I know that's living in his head. He let his team down.
Right.
He should have won. He should have secured the game. So this is my qualifier. I am picking the Bills. But if this game's close to the end, Josh Allen has the ball at the end. I'm worried for the Broncos.
Totally fair. Totally
I
fair. And Josh Allen has a ton of playoff experience. Bo Nix is 0-1. That's all
yeah.
he has.
I mean, and maybe this could be wrong, right? This could be a 2017 Eagles-esque type moment where they go in and it's the year two build and they roll. They figure out a way to get going and the defense carries them through the first round maybe. And Bo Nix continues to work on improving himself as a passer as they keep going in the playoffs. It's totally possible. I'm not saying it's not.
Hmm.
But if it's in the game sequence and the game is close and Allen just needs a field goal or touchdown to tie, I think the tie goes to the Bills just on that alone.
Absolutely. My only pushback, which it's not really a pushback, I'll get to that, is the Broncos have had a lot of big comebacks in the
They
regular
do.
season this year. Look
They
at that
do.
Giants game, and then
Yeah.
there's multiple others. The difference, though, is this is the playoffs. They don't have any experience coming back in the playoffs, so it's not really a pushback. It's just
Well,
they've kind of done it, but not in this type of moment.
we can add a qualifier to that. Sean Payton has had some experience.
It's
Um,
fair. It's
I
fair.
would say it's limited. Like right now, I would say Nick Sirianni has a better playoff track record than Sean Payton has a playoff track record. Um, That's not to say that Sean Payton doesn't deserve credit. He won a Super Bowl, but outside
Hmm.
of that I think it was 2008 run with the Saints, there's not much else that went right to playoff wise. They had a lot of,
Yeah.
well, I mean, there's some bad luck in there too, right? We don't have to talk about the bad luck, but there is bad luck in there. Um,
Yeah, like against the Rams when there was that PI that was obvious and it didn't get called. I mean, the receiver
well,
literally got tackled.
I mean, I was thinking of, a miracle that happened in Minnesota as
That
well.
too. But outside of that, their Super Bowl run, they got there because of Bounty Gate. So, Brett Favre is still probably injured from that game.
Hey man, I was rooting for the Vikings in that game. I was devastated. It
And even with
also,
Bounty Gate, Brett Favre threw that game away on that
yeah,
play. We
exactly.
were in
That's
field goal
exactly
range.
what
You
I was gonna
did need to
say.
do that,
Exactly.
but that's like 15, 20 years ago.
Listen, when you haven't won a Super Bowl yet, those
Hmm.
moments live in your head rent
Hmm.
free. I understand. I think yeah, I get it. I
Yep,
understand.
Gary Anderson's missed field goal in 98
Dude,
against the
I
Falcons.
I would have loved for them to win a Super Bowl with Randall Cunningham. How cool of a career
Hmm.
arc that would have been.
That'd been awesome. They had a great shot that year, but Mr. Perfect, never missing a field goal, misses this clutch field goal in the playoffs.
Yep. Well, should we move to the next game, Andrew?
Let's do it. Let's do it. And I think this is the only actual division game. 49ers at Seahawks. This is again, like I think every single game is going to be fascinating in its own way. This one is fascinating because these two teams hate each other. They've
Yep.
already played each other twice. I think they're split in the season this year. I think the 49ers got the first one, Seahawks
And
got the
Seahawks
second
got the
one.
second one.
Seahawks got the most important one. They get the one seed, to get the bye, to get rest, to get home field advantage. And Seattle, kind of like I mentioned with Denver, is one of the most difficult places to play on the road. They're one of the biggest home field advantages that you can get, 12th man, as they say. And 49ers they're just dealing with so many injuries. Fred Warner's trying to come back, but he was officially ruled out. He's not going to be able to play in this game. If he was playing, I might have said, huh, interesting. Because the 49ers defense, they played decent. It wasn't great. It was a lot of the Eagles getting in their own way last week, but the 49ers still made plays when they had to. That last pass by Jalen Hurts, linebacker Eric Kendricks had to be in the right spot. If he wasn't, I think that Hurts might have got that pass in. Would the receiver have caught it? That's a different story because they were dropping balls all game long. But if Kendricks didn't read that perfectly and jump in front of it to knock it down, there was an angle where that ball might have got through. So Kendricks had to make a great play to make sure that it was ended, and they were making plays like that a lot of times in that game. But I just don't think that that could continue with the amount of injuries they have mounting up.
Can I make a quick
And
note on that?
sure,
How was someone like Kendricks on the free agent market with how well he played?
well, A, he's really not that good anymore. He is ancient and old, and B, I think it had more to do with the scheme and the coaching. Just he was in the right place at the right time. If he is on a different team, I don't think he even flashes anything because he's like
So you think it's
35 years old or
schematic,
something like
like
that.
the coach is
I
just
think
good
it's
at
Robert Sala that got them ready to go for that game.
interesting.
Um, yeah, I mean, he's used to be a great player for the Vikings. I loved Eric Kendricks. He was awesome, but he
Hmm.
hasn't been good in like 2 years. He was on the Cowboys last year, and he couldn't even do anything against with a bad Cowboys defense. So I don't think he's really got a lot left in the tank. He just is smart. That's what I'll give him. He knows where to be, but his athleticism, his speed, his probably even some of his core strength because he's a little older isn't there anymore. But he's smart, and so that play in particular, he knew where he had to be, and ended the game. So a shout out to him. He played well, but
Yeah.
I just don't think he's like good enough where teams are looking for him in the free agency market. The Niners had no choice. They all their linebackers were hurt, and they said, "Hey, Eric, you want to come over here off your couch?" And he was on the practice squad for a few weeks, and they just elevated him because they had no other choice. And then props to him, he played well. He played well, but I think that's more Robert Sala and scheme. Like for example, going to the Vikings defense, there's no superstars. There's no like studs on that Vikings defense. There's good players. There's like four or five you would call good players, but there's no like Raekwon Smith. There's no Sauce Gardner. There's no shutdown anything on that defense. But Brian Flores gets them ready to go, and they're a top five overall defense in a lot of categories
Yeah.
because of scheme, because of coaching. And I think that's what Robert Saleh did in that game against the Eagles. But I don't think that kind of thing can continue because talent always wins out eventually. And I'm not saying the Seahawks offense is better than the Eagles. I think the Eagles offense is better than the Seahawks, but the Seahawks haven't had a lot of those like second half meltdowns like the Eagles had this year.
Yeah.
They've been consistent. They've been consistently average, is what I would say on offense. Um, and I'm not a big Sam Darnold stan in the playoffs, but he's not going against a defense that terrifies you. And so I think the Seahawks are going to be able to do what they want to do, which is run the ball a ton, and then Sam Darnold makes a few throws. If they can do that, Sam Darnold can win you the game. But if you're leaning on him, I don't think he can. But I think in this game, I think the Seahawks defense is going to do enough. I know Shanahan and that scheme is awesome. CMC is awesome. They're not going to be able to be held down for the whole game. But I think the Seahawks defense is going to do enough to, similar to what the Broncos, what I am predicting with the Bills, hold the 49ers to like low to mid 20s, something like that, like 20 to 24 points scored in that range. And I think the Seahawks offense can outscore them by a little bit. So I could see this being very similar, like a 27-24 game. I know it's divisional game. They both know each other really well. So the 49ers are going to be competitive. If the 49ers had Kittle, I might have picked the Niners because I mean they got something going there. They're definitely a better coach team right now than the Seahawks. I'm not saying the Seahawks are a poorly coached team, but Shanahan is on that elite level. He's been there, done that a lot. Seahawks coaching staff hasn't really had that experience yet, but I just don't think the 49ers have enough to win this game. So I'm going Seahawks. I don't have either one seed on each division making the Super Bowl, so I don't have them winning next week. But for this week, I have both one seeds winning. But I'm not extremely confident. Like if we were doing confidence levels, I'd probably have Broncos at a two, Seahawks at a three, something like that. But I'm going Seahawks to pull this game out at home.
It's interesting because I would say I'm feeling different about this number one seed matchup, like very different compared to the Broncos.
Okay.
Um, because and that's not to say that the Seahawks are like so impressive that they can't be beaten type scenario, but
Hmm.
a couple of things that I'm thinking about. One is the turnover margin for both teams is bad.
Yeah.
So the 49ers are at -6, and we saw that last week. Brock Purdy put up two passes, gave him right to Quinyon Mitchell. I mean, maybe Quinyon Mitchell got in position, but they were not good throws. Like the ones that always drive me nuts for interceptions are the ones where you see the replay. You kind of watch it from the quarterback's perspective, and you're like, he was never open. Who are you throwing
Right.
to?
Right.
There's never a window there. Um, but I do think that's going to be a factor in this game. Both quarterbacks are prone to interceptions. I mean, 14
Hmm.
interceptions, 10 interceptions. So it's not like nothing. The part that I think is the most concerning for the 49ers, though, dude, 20 sacks by their defensive line and
Yeah.
linebackers together. It's just not enough. It's 32nd in the league.
Hmm.
I just don't know how. I don't know how you can expect to win. Like I don't sound like such a homer for saying this, Andrew, but to me, the Eagles dropped the game. The game was theirs to win,
I
and they
don't
just
disagree.
they never
Yeah.
took they never got in the driver's seat and took advantage and put the throttle down on the 49ers. So many chances, and we just never ever did it. Um, and I'm not saying that the 49ers don't deserve credit. They do. They went on the road across the country, won the game. And congrats to
Hmm.
them. I just don't know how you don't have Kittle. Your linebacking core has already struggled. You lost your best defensive lineman, never really found a way to replace him. At some point, the glue and the tape you've been using, it will fall apart. It will be stretched too thin. And I think this might be the game. And by the way, man, the Seahawks are such an interesting offense. Seventh in the league for yards per game at 351, and third in the league for points, 28. But that one's a little harder because defensive scores are added into the points per game category. It doesn't say,
Hmm.
well, that this is a defensive or special teams touchdown. I'm not counting it. Um,
And also your defense giving your offense short fields as
this is
well.
also a great point. One part that I am interested in this game, it's an underrated factor for me, is Rashid Shaheed. I feel like this could be a game that he has a big moment. Um, I
Hmm.
think he's been a great pickup for the Seahawks. I think that it would be wise for them to try to keep him long
For
term.
sure.
I don't think he's going to be super expensive. He's not Jacoby Myers, so he's not going to get that type of contract. But something to see if you could keep him around to continue to try to be. I mean, yeah, I'm not going to do it. There's a term I heard yesterday. It's called the snark jar. And I was going to be snarky about Cooper Cup, but I am choosing to not be snarky about Cooper Cup because I would be beating a dead horse. But Seahawks Nation,
Hmm.
you know how I feel about that move. So that's
Hmm.
all I'm going to say on that issue. Um, the part that's fascinating to me, Andrew, is yards per game. The 49ers have 354.4 and the Seahawks have 351.4.
3 yards difference.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's actually the same. I meant to
Oh,
say
really?
it's
Oh, okay.
351.4 and 351.4.
That's
So
hilarious.
someone bring out Thanos. He would be proud.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, anyway, but to my pick for this game, I just don't see how I don't see how the 49ers pull this off. I'm going with the Seahawks. It's not because of Sam Darnold. We've talked about Sam Darnold before, but I
Yeah.
do think he's got the cast around him to pull this off. I thought about it. This Seahawks team, it might be like the Chicago Bears back with Rex Grossman. That might be what I
Totally
would kind
fair.
of compare
Yeah.
this offense to. Maybe this offense is slightly better because they have Jackson Smith and Jigba, but like
Hmm.
when we get to the penultimate moment, do we really expect Sam Darnold to deliver? I don't know. I
He
don't
hasn't
see
his
it
whole
right now.
career. Yeah.
Well, I mean, to be fair, that Seahawks Rams game and the 49ers Seahawks game, he did do what he needed to in both games. A little more in the Rams game, but he did do
Right.
his job.
Yeah, that Rams game, he had a couple moments. I was like, okay. The 49ers game, the 49ers had a chance to take the lead and they had a turnover in the red zone.
Yeah.
So the Seahawks defense ended it. And I think the Seahawks scored like 13 points that game.
Yeah.
So
It
Sam
wasn't
Darnold did
impressive.
crush it. Yeah.
No.
But against the Rams, I wasn't that I was impressed with that Rams comeback because they were down by I think 2 scores in the second half. And they came back and won. And Sam Darnold had a couple 2-point conversions. I was like, okay, that was impressive.
Yep.
But I just don't see him able to do that, which, spoiler alert, most likely, well, I'm not most likely, but he's either, if he wins, he's playing either the Rams or the Bears. If he plays the Bears, I'll probably pick him to win. I don't know. I have to think about that because if the Bears pull off another crazy win against the Rams, I might have to hop on that wagon, even though I don't want to. Um, but if he plays the Rams again, I don't know if he's going to have that same miracle juice. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, should we move to the Texans Patriots game?
Yes, yes. And again, this is another fascinating matchup. Um, Texans, for that, like 3 quarters of that Steelers game, it looked like they probably are going to win, but this is closer than it should be. Then all of a sudden, their defense said, "Hold on, let's put some points up on our side of the ball." And two defensive touchdowns, scoop and score, pick six against Aaron Rodgers. It was fun to see being the opposite side of the Aaron Rodgers side for so long with him just torching my team over and over again. It was nice to see him struggle and probably his last pass as an NFL player was a pick six. It's just desserts kind of a thing. But the Texans offense kind of struggled a little bit against the Steelers defense, and I think the Patriots defense is a little bit overall better. They don't have like a TJ Watt on their team, but I think overall, I would probably pick the Patriots defense over the Steelers, maybe just by a little bit. It's close. Steelers have a good defense. I'm not going to discredit them, but I think the Patriots defense is a little bit better. So can the Texans offense look a little better than they did last week? Now, what I will say is if CJ Stroud doesn't have 3 turnovers, that game is a totally different story. And those 3 turnovers he had, he was getting just people in his face just immediately. Can the Patriots pass rush do that? Maybe. The Steelers pass rush is better. So if the Patriots can't get to CJ Stroud, is he going to take care of the ball? That's that's an interesting question because last week he did not. He had those 2 bad fumbles and then that interception he threw. I was thinking, what are you doing? Just run it. Just get
I
two
know.
yards, kick a field goal.
I
He
know.
he pulled a Brett Favre. That's what I did. He pulled a Brett Favre on that play. He tried to make some miracle happen, and the defender had a great angle, and right before he threw it, the defender was already going to that player, an easy interception. He can't do that in this game. If CJ
No.
Stroud doesn't have any turnovers, Texans have a really good shot because this is like a even game across the board. It is in New England though, so definitely advantage there. And on the Patriots side, Drake May, he's looked good all year, but has he played a defense yet? And I looked at their schedule in the regular season. Now, he played the Chargers last week. Chargers have a good defense, not an elite defense, but a good defense. And he did what he had to do. He didn't look like phenomenal. I think he was barely over 50% completions, and I think he had a turnover, but he did what he had to do. He made some key throws when he had to, but it was mostly his defense that shut down Justin Herbert. And then they had a decent run game, which Drake May had a lot of the year. I think he had over 60 yards rushing. So props to him on that. But now he's going to a different level of defense. So I would say the Chargers are like the 12th best defense, 10th best defense in that range. Like good defense, but not elite.
Man, from a
Now he's
defensive
going against
standpoint, they face like nobody. I mean, that's
exactly.
it's
They played the
crazy.
Steelers week 3, which the Steelers
Yeah.
have a good defense, but they weren't the same team then. And then I think I saw they play the Browns, and the Browns have a good defense, but they don't have anything on offense. So you're going to get the ball short field so many times. So it's like it's not that they played no defenses, but most of the year they were playing teams that your defense you're thinking, oh, it's playing the Raiders, you're playing the Giants, you're playing the Dolphins, you're playing the Jets. That's easy money there, easy yards all day long. Now they're playing the Texans, who, I mean, you can argue Broncos, Seahawks, or Texans have the best defense, and I would not disagree. To me, it could be like a three-way tie. All three of these
Yeah.
defenses are elite in their own way. Like the Broncos with their just team sacks, with like you said, 68. The Seahawks with the secondary just shutting receivers down, and then the Texans they have like they're I would say the Broncos have the best pass rush overall. Seahawks have the best secondary overall. Texans are like number two in both. Something like that. Like they're
I
the
think
number
that's a
two
very great
pass
way
rush
to describe
and
it.
number two secondary as far as remaining in the playoffs. So it's going to be fascinating to see if Drake May can move the ball enough to put points on the board. And I said this in the chat that if this is like a clean slate and there's no bracket at all, I would probably lean Patriots to win this game because they're at home. And I think Drake May is a better player than CJ Stroud, even though it's still early. CJ Stroud's still growing as well. Drake May looked really good this year, and CJ Stroud looked not great last year, and this year he looked kind of okay. So he had a great year one, but since then it's not been all that awesome. And Drake May had an MVP type of year. We'll see if he wins it or not. But
This is
since
just a
the
reminder, by the way, to the NFL that you should include the playoffs in your consideration for MVP. It absolutely should matter. Just want to throw that out there. Sorry.
just want to put that pin in their ear. Yeah,
I'm just saying,
just
if
want to.
Stafford makes it to the NFC Championship and May doesn't make it to the AFC Championship, you're going to look real stupid for making May the VP. That's all I'm saying.
And you know, Dallin would completely agree.
I know he would say that is the most rational take from an Eagles fan I have ever heard. And he would say it just like that.
So with this game again, if I'm picking clean slate without brackets, I probably would pick the Patriots, and it's not like I have confidence in that. But since the Texans are, spoiler alert, my AFC Super Bowl team, I'm gonna stick to my guns. I'm gonna have courage of my conviction, and I'm gonna pick the Texans to win. This would be my confidence of one if I was doing a confidence because
Wait, you're
I,
picking the Texans to win?
yeah, I'm picking the
Okay.
Texans to win this game because they're in my bracket. They're my AFC Super Bowl team,
Okay.
like to make it to the Super Bowl.
Yes, that's right. I thought you said that the Patriots were, and I was like, wait a minute. One, that doesn't
No.
match
If
up,
if
but
I'm
two,
if I'm
okay.
doing clean slate, if this is just we're picking one game and there's no bracket involved, I'd probably pick the Patriots because I think they're the overall better team and they're at home. But since I'm have my bracket out and I gotta have courage, my conviction, I'm gonna go Texans to pull this out because of their defense. And I would say that if they win, they're going to need either like multiple turnovers or a defensive score. And if that happens, they win this game. So I'm picking Texans. I'm not super confident, but I have to pick them because they're my AFC Super Bowl representative.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the matchup, and do I really think that CJ Stroud will not make a dumb mistake? And right now, I would say no, I don't think that. But here's the
Yeah.
part that I can't get over in my head, Andrew. The Texans are plus 17 in turnover margin. That is just wow. Man, that is like
Hmm.
that's almost as good as the 68 sacks figure for the Broncos. Like it's almost as
Yeah.
like unheard of. To get to like the 20s for the turnover margin, that like never happens. It, if you're a team and you're a
Hmm.
plus two, plus three, plus five turnover margin, you're like,
You're doing
holy
awesome.
crap, we're doing
Yeah.
amazing. Like this will never
Hmm.
happen again. But plus 17, I mean, just like just for context, the Patriots are plus three. So like that is going to be fascinating to see how that unfolds.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I agree with you in your notes about the Texans defense. Listen, if the Texans defense only needed the Texans defense to play lights out, then I could absolutely understand the rationale for picking the Texans to win this game. The
Hmm.
part I struggle with is if CJ Stroud does what he did in the Steelers game, in the
Yeah.
Chargers game, they're going to have a problem
Yeah.
because Gillette Stadium is a hard. Is it still called Gillette Stadium?
I think so.
I don't even know.
Yes. Yes. I see it right here. Yeah. It's Gillette Stadium in Foxborough. Yeah.
But if that's if that is what pans out, right? Where if it's just the Texans needing to play and you don't need to rely on CJ Stroud, I can see how you pick him. But the point differential, I mean, 23 points, well, 23.8 points to 28.8 points. I mean, that's a big difference. That's a 5 point gap you got to make up somewhere. Like it's got to be a turnover, it's got to be a special
I
teams
would also
touchdown.
point to the schedule. The Texans schedule was insane and the Patriots
That
was
is a
not.
great that is a great point. But I mean, it still doesn't make up for the quarterback play. I mean, that doesn't.
100%. 100%.
And Nico Collins, I haven't heard if he's going to be in. My guess is he's out.
You can also say the same thing for Gonzalez for the Pats.
Right, but if you put it this way, right, like what's going to be the more painful effect, right? What's going to hurt more? I would say the Nico Collins loss will hurt more than the Christian Gonzalez loss will hurt.
I can see the logic in that.
Because like let's
Thing
put
I
it
would
this,
say is, yeah, go ahead.
but like who, if you were talking about your best blue chip players, right? You're comparing your best blue chips to blue chips. I would put Nico Collins as my blue chip on the Texans. I would not put him as my blue chip on the Patriots. It's not the fact that he's not good. There's
Mm,
just a lot of players I think that I would argue have a more blue chip effect for the team. Like Drake May is a blue chip player. Um, or like Will Anderson on the defense is a blue chip player for the Texans. Shire's probably like borderline blue chip player.
hmm.
Maybe that doesn't make sense. And maybe, Dallin or Patriots fans would disagree with me. I'm not saying that the loss doesn't hurt. I'm just saying I think that the Patriots will find ways to mask the loss better than the
Hmm.
Texans will mask the loss of Nico Collins.
That's fair. To me, in my eyes, I see it more as an even, like completely even loss if both of them are out. And actually, which is nothing official yet, but according to what ESPN is projecting, they're projecting that both of them are going to return on January 18th on this game. Now, that could be
Projection.
nothing. Yeah, exactly. What I will say though is if one of them plays and the other it doesn't play, huge advantage for the other team. Like for example, if Nico Collins is out but Gonzalez plays, oh, huge advantage Patriots. If it's the opposite, if Gonzalez is out and Nico Collins plays, huge advantage for the Texans because Nico Collins is going to get the second corner and then Christian Kirk's going to get the third corner. And I would also point out that when Nico Collins went out, it seemed like the Texans offense looked a little better. Now it wasn't better without Nico Collins. That's insane to say. But they they had bigger plays going when Nico Collins was out. Christian Kirk played really well. Their run game kept going and was getting some gashes in that second half after Nico went out. Again, not saying that's possible without him every game. And the Patriots' run defense is definitely much better than the Steelers' run defense. That's without a doubt. I think the Patriots probably have the best run defense in the league. But if you're going blue chip players, I would say Gonzalez is probably either their first or second most important on defense, right next to Milton Williams. I would say they're like 1A, 1B. You can pick whoever you want, either side. I could understand the logic, but if you're losing your best defensive player compared to your best offensive player, I think it's just an even swap.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I could understand it. I'm just trying to think about it. I mean, like Will Campbell, Drake May. Um, I think running backs, it's hard to say one's a like blue chip, but I mean Harold Landry's been good for them. I We'll see. The part that I guess it's tough is like looking at value and because stats aren't everything for cornerbacks. I think cornerbacks are one of the hardest for stats to really figure
For
out
sure. Yeah,
what's good. But it is worth pointing out that Christian Gonzalez has had no interceptions or fumbles this year. So from a turnover standpoint, you wouldn't feel the loss. But coverage, I do see what you're saying. You could absolutely feel the loss. So we'll see what one's out. And by the way, don't trust anything reported because I was told Lane Johnson was going to start last week and then found out
totally fair.
during the game that Lane Johnson
Totally
did
fair.
not start. Absolutely sucked. That was some of the worst news on top of the Eagles losing news. So,
hmm Yeah, totally fair. All right. Shall we move on to the last game of the divisional round, which I'm guessing we're going to be in lockstep on this one. I think we've been kind of opposite mostly. Even our 49er Seahawks picks, where we both had the same pick,
but I was
I
definitely
was
feeling
not
more
very
confident.
confident. Yeah, you were like, oh, this is an easy pick. Almost. Not saying you said it was an easy pick, but you were completely on board with the Seahawks from the jump. And I'm here thinking, Sam Darnold, I don't know, but I'm picking the
I think
defense.
that's the
So
Darnold PTSD kicking in, which I don't blame you.
it's fair. It's fair. But I think this one will probably going to be, we'll see. We'll see if there's any differences. But Rams at Bears, man, I'm going to start with the Bears. I don't know if they're the luckiest team in this league or if they just know how to win when you need to win. It's probably somewhere in the middle where they do what they need to do. The players are making plays in the fourth quarter. But man, they've had to have so many teams just totally fold in order for them to win. I can remember the Raiders game. This is the Raiders, one of the worst teams in the league. The Bears had to block a field goal to win that game as time expired. And then they played the Giants. They were down two scores in the fourth quarter against the Giants, and they had to come back and win. And then twice against the Packers, they're down two scores in the fourth quarter. Once they had to get a crazy onside kick, and the
Yeah.
other time they had to have the Packers defense just completely fold like a cheap tent and pull it off. But again, the Bears had to make these plays. They had to do it. Their players had to show up, even though the other team is completely dying out there on the field, giving it to the Bears. Like, here, take this win. Bears had to make the plays. So I'm not trying to discredit them too much. They have some kind of magic in the fourth quarter that is very rare.
I do.
But can that continue? I've been saying that all year long, and it's been continuing. So maybe this is just silly for me to think, but the point I made last week was I don't think that their turnover luck is going to continue. I don't think they're going to win the turnover battle against the Packers, and that's the reason why I picked the Packers to win. They did not win the turnover battle. They didn't get a single turnover, and yet the Bears still won. That I was impressed by that. By that just one stat, zero turnovers, and I think the Packers turned them over like three times or two times. I know Caleb threw two picks.
Yeah.
And I think there was a fumble. I think there was a kick return fumble. So there was three turnovers in that game that the Packers received, and they didn't turn the ball over once. And yet the Bears pulled it off. I was impressed by that. I was like, wow, well done. I don't know how much of it was the Packers like just gave it away and the tour compared to what the Bears took somewhere in the middle. But I came away with that game probably more impressed with the Bears than I was all year long because they didn't have a single turnover. They were down by 2 scores in the fourth quarter, and they found a way to get it done.
They sure did.
Well done, Bears. Well done. I don't like them. I don't like the Packers either, but whenever credit is due, I have to give them credit. So well done on that, Bears. But now you're going against probably the most savvy veteran team in the remaining in the playoffs, outside maybe the 49ers, because they've been there, done that with their coach. But and then Josh Allen, he's been there, done that. But the rest of that Bills team, you're like, eh. But this Rams team with Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, they've had a lot. They have a lot of playoff experience.
They do.
Kyron Williams, all of them, and the Packers offense could not move the ball against the Bears in the second half. They were just stuck in the mud. And I feel bad for Jordan Love a little bit because he had receivers just dropping passes left and right. And
Yeah,
he was dealing, he was putting dimes out there that were just dropped.
I just feel like it wasn't. It was just such a frustrating game all around. I felt like LaFleur turtled. Um,
Fair,
like I
fair.
did not. I felt like Johnson was doing everything he could to give the aggressive advantage. Like Ben Johnson appears, it's year one, appears to be a more rational Dan Campbell.
Yeah, I could hear that.
I just from what we've seen so far, he just appears to
Hmm.
make more rational decisions in the moments you need more rationality, and but still keeping the aggressiveness in the moments you need to be aggressive.
Outside of going forward on fourth down on your own 30 and then not getting it, he did that twice against the Packers, I think. Like on your own side of the field, not even close to midfield. It was like the 30 to 40
I hear
range.
you.
He went for it twice on fourth down. It didn't get it both times, and he still won. It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, but for the Rams, they're the most one of the most experienced and savvy teams. They're most complete units. Their defense hasn't played well recently, which I'm a little surprised by because they got a lot of good players on that defense. I figured that I thought they'd be playing better as a unit, but they've been getting had a little bit. I mean, the Panthers put up what 31 against them,
we sure did.
the Panthers' offense isn't bad, but it's not like this offense you're staying up at night afraid of going into the game. And the Rams gave up 31. I mean, they got gashed against the Panthers. So the Bears' offense is probably better in all phases than the Panthers, running game and passing game. Not by by like a big gap, but I would pick the Bears' run game and the Bears' pass game against the Panthers every day of the week. So can the Rams defense do anything this game? That'll be interesting. Caleb Williams, he usually has about 50% completions. So the first 3 quarters, the Rams better be up by like 3 scores going into the fourth quarter. That's what they better do. They better control this game from the jump and get up 3 scores going into the fourth because if it's only 2 scores, Bears have a shot at that game.
Sure do.
Um, and like we said and like mentioned from the chat, whenever people were thinking fourth quarter was starting against the Packers, is this game over? And I just was afraid that it wasn't. And I don't like being right in that moment because I didn't pick the Bears to win, but I thought it's the Bears. There's still time on the clock. I can't say this game is over, and they found a
Yeah,
way to win. But going back to the Rams, I think they have too much talent, too much good coaching, and just too much experience to let that kind of a comeback happen against them. So I think the Rams are going to win this game. I think that they should get up to a decent lead by the fourth quarter. Bears will make a comeback, but I think the Rams are going to do enough to pull this out. This will be a high scoring game. This is going to be probably both teams score in the high 30s, low 40s. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a 41-38, similar to what like that 49ers Bears game was, where it was back and forth.
yeah,
Both teams were doing what they wanted to do, and the Bears were making a tremendous comeback, but couldn't quite finish. I kind of can see that similar thing happening. I'm going Rams to win, high scoring, and I have them traveling to Seattle in the NFC Championship game.
crazy. One part I just wanted to mention, Andrew, this is the first time in a few years that three divisional teams have made it to the
I
divisional
know.
round of the playoffs. Do you remember the
That's
last time
wild.
that happened?
Ooh. I didn't hear the stat or see it. I just knew that it happened. Man, I'm gonna guess that it was the NFC East, but I don't know when.
That is my recollection. Let me just double check for us because I want to make
Don't know
sure I'm
when
not
that
spitting
was.
out. Yes, it was 2022. The Dallas Cowboys played the 49ers and the Giants played the Eagles. That was the
Okay.
last divisional round where there was three teams from one division in the playoffs still, which that's an incredible accomplishment, man. 75% of the remaining teams from your conference are from your division.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And it's
Um,
wild that the Giants were in the divisional round in 2022.
yeah.
Thanks to
Well,
the Donna Shell defense from the Vikings. That's all I can say.
yeah. Yeah, that was a bad moment. But to the
Hmm.
point I was originally making is what an accomplishment by the NFC West to have three teams
Absolutely.
in the playoffs still.
Hmm.
That's a testament to how good of a team they've been. Which, by the way, the Cardinals have to be dying right now because they know that a team from the NFC West is going to make the NFC Championship. Like, what a horrible feeling. Because, like, no matter
Hmm.
what happens, one of those teams will be in the NFC Championship.
And a good possibility for two.
But yeah, absolutely. I'm with you in lockstep on this game. I don't know if there's anything else I'd add for context because the fact that um, the Rams, the Rams are a good team, and I think that they had a little bit of bad luck at the end of the season,
Mm.
and I think that they could pull out another win here, which is weird because it's like this shouldn't be happening. Playoff wildcard teams should not be able to go on these types of runs to get to the championship game, but it's possible this year. It's just that open. Um,
Yeah.
we will see what the Bears do. I just feel like the Bears continue in my head to feel like they're on borrowed time. If it's not now, that's the NFC Championship. If it's not, then
Hmm.
it's the Super Bowl. Like, kind of like the Kansas City Chiefs last year. I felt like they were on borrowed time. I felt like
Hmm.
eventually the hammer was going to come down and it was going to be like, oh, maybe we've gotten lucky these past several weeks.
Hmm.
I just, I'm having a hard time feeling like the Bears are going to pull this out. We will see. They could prove me wrong. But if Matt Stafford's playing, which the reports I'm reading saying he is, it sounds like that he can play through this finger injury. I think that will be
Hmm.
something that causes an effect. This is the
For
part I'm
sure.
worried about for the Rams. And it's not the fact that I'm not saying that the running game is not good. I just feel like if the Rams have to rely on the running game at any part of this game, I do worry for them. I feel
Hmm.
like what the Bears have, you're gonna have to help me again, Andrew, because I cannot pronounce his name right. But Swift
Oh,
and
monogamy.
Monogany, like if they
Yeah.
have to rely on them. But anyway, it's gonna be tough to if it's a running game situation because of weather or because the Rams can't get the passing game going. I am a little bit worried for the Rams. It's not the fact that the Rams can't run the ball. They definitely can. I mean, Williams has, 1,200 yards on the year. I just think about that 49ers game. They went to overtime and they tried to run it on that short down and distance. It's like, it's not who
Yeah.
you are. It's not who you are. And
Yeah.
that's the problem is their identity is built through the passing game supported by the running game. Whereas I think the Bears have a more balanced approach. And so it's
Hmm.
easier for them to get the running game going. Um, so we'll see. I could be totally wrong, but I'm going to pick the Rams on this one. I'm in lockstep with you on that. And one part I'm going to mention, it's crazy the Bears have a plus 22 turnover margin.
Yeah. You were just talking about the Texans plus 17. The Bears are just,
I
yeah,
don't know how they did it.
that shouldn't happen.
It
Yeah.
feels like they're just cheating. That's really what it feels
Hmm.
like.
It's
I
like they
just
turn the Madden level to rookie when they're playing all the games.
only when they're on offense.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yep.
It's crazy, man. I don't understand it. It's beyond me and my understanding of things, but they're here. They're here. They
Yep.
got the two seed. They beat
Exactly.
the Eagles to get the two seed. Um,
Hmm.
it's crazy, man. But hats off to what the Bears have done this year. They've put their team on the map, and we will see how things go this both in the playoffs and next year. But I think they have reason to be excited. Tell you what, as Stephen predicted, the Pope has really come through and making this team a success or
Hmm.
succeed again.
Yeah, but even with that, no one thought outside of Bears fans that the Bears would win this division. Everyone was picking either Lions, Packers. Everyone. No one
Yeah.
was picking Bears to win. And so that's hats off to them. The last point I wanted to make is this game is supposed to be one of the coldest games of the weekend, or the coldest game of the weekend. I don't
Hmm.
think there's going to be like weather, like snow or stuff like that, just ice cold conditions. And Matthew Stafford's been to the playoffs plenty of times, so he's going to have used to cold weather games. Caleb Williams never played in January before, not in
It's true.
Chicago. So how is he going to last with the cold? I don't think it's going to be a Tua situation where Tua cannot play in the cold,
Oh my
but
goodness.
it's going to
Yeah,
be
that guy.
different. The ball feels different when it's cold and heavier, and it travels a little differently when it's like below freezing and almost 0 degrees. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yep. It'll be interesting to follow. So good matchup. So it
Yeah.
sounds like you've got two upsets and I have one upset. Is that right? Based on what Las
No.
Vegas is saying.
Well, based off what like I'm looking at ESPN's spreads, and the only upset I have is Texans over Patriots. Denver's favorite according to ESPN, Seattle's favorite according to ESPN, and the Rams are favorite according to ESPN.
I was thinking you had two for some. Oh, but you didn't pick the. I picked the Bills. You didn't pick the Bills.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I
Yep.
picked the Broncos
That's
just
right.
because the Broncos are at home.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair. Well, I'm
Yeah,
excited, man.
and yeah,
This will be
and I
interesting to
will
see how it
say
turns out.
that for this round, I'm looking at my bracket, and I have a chance to get all my teams into the championship rounds. And that's another reason why I picked where I did, because my two championship round predictions were Denver, Houston, and Seattle Rams. And there's a chance that could still happen. And so
Crazy.
I'm predicting that just because that's what I picked when I made my bracket.
We will see how it turns out, man. It will be fun to
Hmm.
follow.
Yep. And I just want to also give a shout out to CJ Stroud because um, not necessarily just the player, just the person he is. I just love how at every press conference or every post game interview, whatever it is, he's always giving glory and credit to God. I just love that about him. He's always talking about his faith and talking about just everything spiritual that he can. I just love that about him. I root for the kid. Probably part of the reason why I'm picking them to make the Super Bowl. Just, being honest, and that defense. But love that about him that he's always doing that at every single press conference. It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. I mean, I mentioned the contract situation, and Stroud needs to play well. If he wants another contract with the Houston Texans, he needs to have a
Hmm.
good postseason.
Yeah, but one thing I will say, he's been to three postseasons and he's won a game in each postseason.
That's a great point. It's fair.
So he has three postseason wins already compared to a lot of other quarterbacks who have
Looking at you,
none
Lamar
still.
Jackson.
Hmm. Hmm. And looking at you, Sam Darnold.
That's fair.
Sam Darnold has zero postseason wins.
Yeah.
Will that change? We'll see.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to touch on?
No, I think we can get to the coaching news next week. There's some
Yeah.
The Eagles got rid of the root of all evil. I'm just joking. That's totally inaccurate. But we are going to bust out the confetti emoji, and
Hmm.
let's get the clapping going on in there too. Hold on, hold on. Here we go. Here we go.
Hmm.
There we go. It's raining over here. Anyway,
And I think the only official hire so far has been Harbaugh to the
uh,
Giants, which I have to say, initially, whenever the Vikings were lockstep to get the 4 seed in the NFC North, they were going to have to play the Giants because the Giants had the 4 seed. And I was a little bit, I want to say scared of that. I was nervous because I thought, hey, the Giants have a lot of players. They could come back and have a decent year with Dart, with Neighbors, with um, Cam Scatterbo. Defensive line is really good. I thought that's not an easy 4 seed to beat.
yep.
And now they got Harbaugh. Now, I don't know what Harbaugh can do in one year. So I'm not saying that next year the Giants are going to be this scary team, but a few years down the line, that they could be a problem.
Yeah.
But I'm just happy in a way that we got the 3 seed and we don't see the Giants. To me, this is just my opinion. I kind of would rather play the Commanders than the Giants next
Understandable.
year
Yeah.
because the Commanders have a lot of issues on the team. They're really old. I mean, Debo Samuel, who knows if he's going to be healthy at all any game. Defense was just ravaged with injuries last year because they're a little bit up there in age for the Commanders. So I kind of prefer to play them than Giants next year, and that's who the Vikings will get because they have the 3 seed. Lions are going to have to play the Giants. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Be a lot of fun.
Well, we'll see what happens. It'll be good. But yeah, that's my notes for me, man. So looking
Okay,
forward to next week.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you guys for joining us in this episode of the Gridiron Grind with Andrew and Lance. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and we will see you next time.
We'll see everybody. Enjoy divisional weekend.